I think what I'm looking forward to is trying to understand what the use case is, right? There's always a kind of a one line that summarizes the products that Apple announces, right? The iPad, it was sort of the internet in your hand. The iPhone is three devices in one. The watch, notifications on your wrist. Like, what's the one line they want people to take away from this announcement? I think that's what I'm curious.
Cross the road on your face.
Cross the road on your face.
Welcome to Gear It Up. I'm Andrew Edwards.
I am John Rettinger.
John.
Andrew.
Great to be back.
One of these days, I get to be first. I get to be
welcome. What? Let's make that today that day.
I mean, well, now it's the moment's passed.
No. Listen. We're going to restart the show. We're going to leave this in, but also restart the show. You welcome everyone, and I will sit back.
I'm going to try. We're going to see how it goes, all right? I'm going to do a little bit of a better job. Welcome, everybody, to the Geared Up podcast. I am your primary host, John Rettinger.
I guess that would make me the tertiary host, Andrew Edwards.
And Andrew.
Yes.
We are not alone today on the show.
Not today. Not ever.
We should probably say who we have. And I think in the pantheon of our guests, and we've had some of the greats of the greats, the big of the big, the giant of the giant, the mammoth of the mammoth. I think we have returning after about a 12-month hiatus, perhaps the greatest guest in the history of the show.
Bringing the show back up to its former glory, because in the past 12 months, it has just been all downhill until now.
Until we got the man back himself. Can anybody guess now who we have? And I'm sure
that was obvious.
The answer should be very obvious, but welcome John Prosser back to the show.
Hey, thanks for slow clap. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, if the last person you had was Sam, yeah, the show's going back up now. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. Come on, we love Sam. Your co-host, Sam, the co-host of the Genius Bar.
Yeah.
He's the loud one. Which is crazy.
But sort of how John today was the primary host. Yeah. I'm the primary host of my show. So if you have the other guy on, it's like getting the generic version of the cereal that you want.
I mean, we haven't told Andrew how many times that I've been on your podcast, before you guys ask him. So it's easier that way.
Oh, wait, John, you've never been on Genius Bar.
I have not. No, never.
Andrew, you have once.
I've been on once, which I don't understand. Usually,
will you accept my formal invitation?
I send you weekly notes. Every time you release a pod, I send you weekly notes.
This is not a bit for the show. He actually does
I text you both. I'm like, here's my thoughts on every segment. I agree with John.
It's always you agreeing with me. Yeah.
Correct.
John,
right,
you have a formal invitation right now to come on to Genius Bar.
Yes.
I'm busy agenda for this show.
Okay. True. Give us the agenda.
We're going to go through one by one. Obviously, we have a lot of things in the works, in the rumor mill with Apple. But I want to do a quick follow-up to last week, though. Just a very quick one. We opened up last week's show talking about games, video games, if John Prosser isn't aware. And I wanted to do a quick follow-up. Just something I observed for my own self, and I want to see if you guys see the similar. I feel like the older I get in my life, the more that my peers, my friends, are playing single-player games as opposed to multiplayer games. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I like playing multiplayer games. I like playing with my friends. I've been playing Halo Infinite Season 3, the new Fortnite season, the new Destiny expansion. All these things came out last week.
Do you schedule your games with friends the way you do the show, like 2 months in advance?
I do not. Maybe I should. Maybe that's the problem. By the way,
are you available March 14th at 2 p.m.?
Maybe that's the problem, because when I go online, it's either all my friends are playing single player games, or the one multiplayer game they are playing is Call of Duty Warzone, which I'm not really that into. And I'm curious, number one, do you guys find yourselves playing more single player or multiplayer games at this stage in your life?
I mean, I can't remember the last time I played a multiplayer game like with other people.
Well, there's that answer.
There's the answer. Yes. John is similar age to me, so okay.
I'm multiplayer.
You're a multiplayer guy.
Yeah, I don't think you could get me to sit down and play a video game by myself. I will always rather do something else. Video games aren't my first choice, but video games with friends, that goes way higher up on the list. It's like the difference between having Sam on the show or having me.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm the multiplayer.
I got 3 kids at home. I'm always surrounded by people. I am so happy to not be surrounded by anybody.
Bro, you're playing life on multiplayer.
Yeah, like to not talk to anybody and just play is like my happy place.
That does make sense. And I mean, I will do both. Like I'm looking forward to the new Zelda game dropping in like under 2 months. Very much so. But I guess the thing is, some of the games I like are multiplayer games, and I'd rather play them with friends instead of strangers, especially when the strangers are like 8-year-olds who kill me instantly and then like scream into their headset like random 8-year-old stuff.
I can't stop, but that is how I end every single night. Is just I go on Call of Duty, I get yelled at by 8-year-olds, and I go to sleep. That's my ritual every night.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's get into some of this news.
Yes.
First one. What I'm trying to do on this show is kind of go in order of expected release dates. Okay. So first up, MacBook Air 15-inch, who Mr. Ross Young still says is coming next month, April. Do we believe this? It feels so.
I mean, the only time Ross Young has been blatantly wrong was when he was like, the iPhone SE is going to be called the iPhone SE Plus Maximus, or whatever he said it was going to be called. It was like completely wrong. It was like the iPhone SE 5G Plus is what he said it was going to be called, but it was going to be the same size. Yeah. So what he said made it made no sense, and it didn't happen. But that is what broke his 100% track record. I don't know why he gave it up for that.
Okay. So aside from that, you're saying he's extremely accurate then?
Yeah, I mean, he's the closest to 100% accurate that you could get, minus that one blunder, which was just
we're expecting then.
Yeah.
So there was no March event. Usually it's a spring event, either in March or April. Apple released already the yellow iPhone along with the new
biggest product of the year.
Right. So we're thinking there's going to be, I'm assuming then it won't be an event kind of thing and more of a press release. Here's a new size. Enjoy, everybody.
I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
With a lot of Apple rumors, especially when it comes to hardware, when you hear something from the supply chain or basically not directly from an internal Apple source, sometimes a lot of that information is old. Like we might just be hearing it today, but that might be based on information from months ago. And so there could very well have been a time where Apple was considering, should we go portless or should we go USB-C, right? And they might have been having this conversation. Now, I know nothing about the portless conversation at all. They might have been going back and forth on this. And then, they make test devices and things like that. And so they could have made a test device and we're checking this out. And then the rumor comes out, oh, Apple's going to be going portless. But that was really just to see if it was viable. And they realized this isn't viable at all. So we thought about it. We tried it.
Think about how long something has been up in the air for it to finally get through via supply chain. By the time anybody in the supply chain knows, there's people that are higher up that have known for years and years and years. Like the supply chain, they're the last people to know for that exact reason, because once you give the information to that many people working on a project, that's when it tends to get out. Yes. And so, yeah, Andrew, you're probably right. It's probably like a year or two old.
So, John, if we do go portless, when do you see that happening?
I don't know, maybe 2020, 2025, 2026, maybe. So when we get at least a portless one, I don't know why all these years it has always been mentioned that it was only going to be one.
I feel like it's too soon. Is it just me that feels like it's too soon to be portless? I'm not even talking about data. I'm only talking about charging speeds.
It is too soon, I would say, yeah.
It feels to me like when you're in the car, I don't know, like you're able to plug in and charge quickly when necessary right now, unless the portless iPhone has double the MagSafe charging speed or something.
Yeah.
You're going to be in situations where you can't really charge that well.
Isn't there an intermediary option? Presumably it comes in the box.
What would it be?
$500 accessory Apple sells you after the fact that everybody needs. And Apple loves doing it. Just a dongle that you plug into your USB-C port. You can do your wireless transfer that way. Everybody's complaining about a cable. It's the same deal. You plug something into a port, you just don't have a cable in between.
But if it's portless, there's no port.
Oh, you said it's portless.
No. I'm not talking portless. I'm not talking port on the iPhone. If you're worrying about a cable and plugging into your car, there's a dongle that will go into that port.
Oh, I see.
Use a Wi-Fi code, Wi-Fi protocol, or Bluetooth, or AirPlay, whatever they decide to use for data transfer. It's pretty simple.
Right.
Sounds simple, like I'm the one who I could make it, but it's certainly an intermediary solution to all these problems. Yes. But John, you mentioned the iPhone Ultra. Is that just a rebranded Pro Max, or is that a real thing?
I know it's a separate thing. Yeah, should be next year. I don't know why we heard about it coming this year. I don't think there's any current rumors that say it's coming this year, but it's a next year thing.
So it'll live alongside a Pro Max?
Yeah.
Like what's going to make this Ultra?
No clue.
No clue.
No port. That's why.
I mean,
that's why.
But I guess if you play it forward, right, you can kind of anticipate what technology Apple would put in. But I'm honestly looking at where they're headed, but also kind of what flagship Androids have had for a few years. Apple tends to wait to put it in.
What would it be?
If you do just play that game out, and again, I'm basing this on absolutely nothing. I have zero source. Yeah. No way Apple talks to me anymore at all. But I'm just guessing here. So start with the cameras, right? You can't release an Ultra phone that has the same cameras as a Pro Max, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Presumably this year's Pro Max, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to get a periscope camera.
Yep.
So, I mean, perhaps we'll see higher video resolution, higher zoom. So maybe we'll see 10x this year?
The moon.
Yeah, an actual moon.
We'll see the moon.
I mean, 10x is a rumor this year, right?
Yeah.
The periscope? Okay, so 15, 20x. What else can they do on the screen, right? We already have OLED. Probably not much else that can be done there. The ProMotion implementation is really solid. What about how the phone gets unlocked?
I hope it's not larger. I would be upset if it was larger.
What about how the phone gets unlocked? It has to look different. Is that the first time we see under display Face ID? Is that where we see Touch ID under display make its appearance? Is that the first phone that's portless? Is that a phone that can be docked to a monitor and give you...
An Ultra phone being portless sounds right to me. Right? I mean, that's sort of the whole... I can't say it's the whole reason for portless, but being so insanely waterproof with no real buttons, no ports on a phone that's dubbed Ultra... I'd go for that.
I mean, right? That would make sense. What about wireless?
I like the docking idea, though. The docking idea. If you can dock it to a display and get like an iPad-like interface.
That seems too consumer friendly for Apple to do.
I mean, Samsung's done it with DeX, right?
Yeah.
Wireless DeX. And again, I'm just totally picking stuff out of my butt here and throwing it at a wall. What's going to separate a phone? If you're going to have a phone that's presumably going to charge for, I'm guessing, spec'd up probably around $2,000.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you got a Pro Max, it goes up to 15, I believe, 15, 16.
If you go to a terabyte.
Yeah. So 17, 18, $100. Like, you got to bring the thunder. You can't just make it yellow and expect everybody to run and jump and buy it. Anyway,
or that's exactly what you do. Catch them all off guard.
I mean, it's like, here's finally the red phone. It's costing an extra $600. Or maybe they just include all the accessories in the box that are charging you extra for them after the fact. Anyway, I'm completely spitballing ideas here, but if it is a real thing, I think those are things to maybe keep an eye on as technology continues to evolve over the next, 16 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's exciting. That's very exciting. I mean, something completely new and different. When Apple released the iPhone 10, the original expectation that they had, because that launched at $1,000, which, remember everybody balked at the time.
Yeah.
$1,000 for a smartphone. This is crazy. One of the strategies they were going for was, so basically people would say back in the day, and probably still, why do these more niche Android devices have more features or better hardware than iPhones, right? Apple has all this money. What is going on? And part of the problem is if you have this 20 megapixel camera sensor that you could stick into a Nokia Lumia or something like that, Apple would need to get 200 million of those, whereas Nokia might only need 1 million of those for the year, right? So if the manufacturer can't make that, because if any one piece of the iPhone is unavailable, Apple cannot make the iPhone. Right. So they've always been safer with what they've chosen, which ended up being not as cutting edge hardware pieces. And so one of the original thoughts they had at the time was, we'll do this more expensive phone. It'll be $1,000. And it'll be where we can put those kinds of things because most people aren't going to buy that one.
Lower volume.
And they'll buy the 8 and the 8 Plus, which they also release simultaneously. The 8 and the 8 Plus, and the 10 will be more of like a niche phone. But what happened was everybody just bought the iPhone 10. And so that kind of went away. I'm curious if that's kind of where they would go with the Ultra, though, again. But I don't know because they released the Apple Watch Ultra, which I assume, again, they thought that would be our lower volume watch. And what happened was everyone this year bought the Ultra and not the Series 8.
Well, that's like no
crazy.
One. I think the sales for the 14 Plus this year have been not great. Like everyone has been buying the Pro phones.
Which
like
is weird.
The Pro's been legit hard to get throughout the year.
It's strange because every year it's always been the cheapest iPhone is the best-selling iPhone. It's always been that way until last year with the Mini was not the best-selling phone. But it's always been the cheapest one sells the most. And then it might be a Pro or a Plus, but that somehow got switched around on both the watch and the phone, where people in what many call a recession, no less, are buying the more expensive Pro model and the entry level.
That's why we're in a recession.
Kind of being left behind.
Apple did it.
So I want to jump around, if I may.
Here we go, please.
And maybe I'm in the minority here. I want the biggest iPad humanly possible.
Why? Why are you that way?
I think I'm fundamentally broken inside.
Do you want it to fold?
I mean, we'll get to folding as a...
Or do you care?
I guess it'd be nice if it folded, but I just want to...
I'm saying if it's a 25-inch iPad, it'd be nice to fold it in half.
Sure.
25-inch
But like, am I going to get a 14-inch iPad?
Okay, that's more reasonable.
Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I mean, yes, but also I'd imagine that you personally are going to get it.
Will there be a 14-inch iPad?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And I'm pretty sure that this has come from Ross Young as well. Like,
you mean the OLED ones?
Yeah, like there's going to be a massive iPad for no reason. Why? Unless it folds. Why? Just give us a giant thing that doesn't fold. Oh.
Let's be clear, though. I don't know why Apple calls it 12.9 inches because the display is almost the exact same size as a 13-inch MacBook Pro. So we already have a 13-inch iPad, basically. We have a 13, so it's only an inch. And if they reduce the bezels
only
a little
an inch,
bit,
that's.
But I'm saying if you reduce the bezels a little, right, and just make it a little bigger, you're hitting 14.
I guess.
So,
but even that's massive.
Since I'm just making things up with no sources, what if the 14-inch iPad is really just a touchscreen Mac?
I would feel better about my life, I think.
You guys can't see Andrew's eyes are looking all crazy.
Yeah, he's thinking he went to a dark place.
Looking around. Well, that's what it is. What if it's a Surface type device? And that's what they're... It's
better chance of me buying that over just a massive doesn't fold is just an iPad, but big iPad.
A big iPad with an OLED screen obviously doesn't make a huge amount of... Despite me wanting one, doesn't make a huge amount of financial success. I'm assuming maybe there's.
What if it's iPad Ultra?
There you go, iPad Ultra.
I am jumping in. I can no longer remain silent.
Tell us, Sam Kohl, ladies and gentlemen.
I have let myself back into the podcast. I am crashing it. I have gone to heaven and back to get here.
Okay, sounds like a good adventure, though.
Listen, the things that you guys are saying are just absolutely ridiculous. Then we're talking about folding iPads. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a foldable iPad. Nobody wants a touchscreen Mac. Well, I kind of want a touchscreen Mac, but the foldable stuff needs to die. Everybody who's ever made a sandwich, nope, we're done. No more folding things. No more tortillas. No more phones. We've gone too far.
Do you agree with me, though?
We're kind of early. Like I feel like we're still early. Even if you, like, I know John Rettinger loves his foldables, right? And I know Michael Fisher loves his foldables, right? But I think both would still also admit. Both
massive nerds, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they would both admit that it's as cool as they are. We're still in early innings when it comes to foldables. Like where they are today is not where they're going to be 5 years from now.
Correct. They're going to be gone in 5 years.
Yes. Thank you, John.
This is such a stupid fad and I can't get over it.
Interesting. So you're predicting it's like 3D TV or something where it's like it's here, but it's not going to stick around.
We're just doing this because we're bored. It is fascinating and incredible that we can do this, that we can fold displays like this. Wow, amazing. But this is just a stopgap between what we think is the now, which is like the just flat glass sandwich of a phone, and what is actually the future, which is wearables. That's where we're actually headed. And people that are too short-sighted, that are just used to carrying around this, that they think that we need to, the future is still this, just a different version of this. And so the next reasonable thing, we fold it. That's how we got them.
The next big product, AR glasses. Yes. I had a hard time seeing a killer use case for AR glasses, but have I just not fallen into the Apple marketing machine yet?
Okay, Sam, should we take it? Are we leaving? We hang up?
Tell me, correct me. I mean, are you talking about seeing a desktop being virtualized, having a phone in your hand, a keyboard show up?
No.
Tell me.
What am I missing? I just want to start off by saying I don't know how you, Mr. John Rettinger, Titan of technology, X of Techno Buffalo, Snapchat Chad, can sit here and be like, foldables are the future, man. But the AR stuff that
I
literally
never said foldables are the future. I never said that.
I said it's the future. You're like, I don't know about those.
I said I love foldables. Never said they were the future.
He doesn't.
Fair enough. Touche.
Yeah. He doesn't understand the cool part about AR headset, but man, if we had an iPad that was just an inch bigger.
Yeah, holy crap.
Bring it. I can enlighten my use case that and I'm sure others right now are missing. I am open to the idea if I can see a use case that is like, this is incredible.
Let's hear it.
And I would like to see that use case.
This is what we're expecting Apple to announce in 3 months. So, Sam, what do you envision?
So tell me why I should wear goggles on my face with a battery pack on my belt.
Okay. No one has successfully cracked VR yet. Right.
True. Fair.
We all agree on that fact. Facebook's trying. The Quest 2 is like fun and whatnot, but it's still not all the way there. But Apple has waited so many years after everyone else to do this. And I'm actually going to meet you in the middle here. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be a killer game-changing use case from this first VR AR headset. But the later technology that will evolve into the AR-only experience, that is going to be game-changing because everything we know about the phone and how we interact with technology is now going to be seamless because it's attached to, like, just like the watch makes like text messages easier to glance at. All of these notifications, these contextual clues by looking around a room are going to be just built into the glasses, and that's going to allow you to basically
even just like GPS, seeing the turns on the road.
Okay.
Like so arrows.
You guys
on the
hyped
road.
this up like I was missing something incredible, and you talked about what could be coming. I totally see what could be coming.
Well, we don't know. What do you mean?
No, Sam just like the future when it's an AR.
You're talking about this headset.
Sam went to like 8 years into the future.
I'm talking about this headset.
Okay. Let me say you did
the
say
VR
AR
goggles.
headset. You said the AR glasses. This is technically a VR.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're talking about the VR. We're talking about the VR headset.
The AR. I see the future for AR VR. That I understand. This headset that Apple's getting ready to announce. What is a killer use case there for a presumably several $1,000 asking point? What am I missing? Why should people get excited about this unannounced product?
John, do you want to go? Do you want to share your experience with the world?
Yeah. Okay. So this is obviously, I think they're going to be shooting for like probably just under 1 million units of this thing to ship, if they even get that to ship. So I don't think this is a product to convince the masses. I think this is just similar to like LiDAR when it came out. When did LiDAR come out? The 12?
12 Pro, right?
12.
LiDAR, for the most part, is actually just gathering data for their AR experiences in the future. And I think that this is one of those things where they get it out in the market, they get developers developing, they start introducing the concept to people, and it'll slowly become less and less weird. It's like, okay, when phones first started to have cameras, people were kind of weirded out by cameras on phones. Like, oh, you can just take a picture of me anywhere or record videos of me anywhere. But now that's like the main selling point of these phones. That's what people spend a half hour during a presentation to talk about. So I think right now the idea is foreign. This VR headset for the average consumer that is buying Apple stuff, this is Apple's chance to explain to us why AR and VR to Apple is different than it is for the PlayStation or the Quest or whatever. It's their vision. And I'm very curious to hear Apple explain to us why we should care. I know why we should care, but I'm curious to see what Apple's reasoning is when they go on stage and explain it. For this main VR experience, I mean, I feel like gaming is going to be a huge aspect to this. Similar to my first experience with the Quest was when I first used the Quest, the pandemic had already happened, so keep that in mind. But being able to be in a virtual space and like actually see your friend was wild to me. And the Quest isn't perfect, like not even close. Yeah. But it was enough to feel VR for the promises that it has for us, because Sam and I, for like the last 12 months, made fun of VR, AR. Whenever we talked about this upcoming headset, we just kind of like, why should people care? Then we try something as simple as the Quest, and now we're like completely on board. And I think I think a lot of practical use cases come from this too, like people that are disabled that can't get to locations that they wish they could get to, can't have the same experiences that a lot of people can have. I think VR opens up a lot for those people. AR as well. I think AR is definitely more in line with the mass market. That is the future, but I think this first one gets us in the door, and I will gladly spend $3,000 to play Crossy Road on on Apple's VR headset.
I think what I'm looking forward to is trying to understand what the use case is, right? There's always a kind of a one line that summarizes the products that Apple announces, right? The iPad, it was sort of the internet in your hand. The iPhone is 3 devices in one. The watch, notifications on your wrist. Like, what's the one line they want people to take away from this announcement? I think that's what I'm curious.
Crossy Road on your face.
Crossy Road on your face. And listen, I see the future for AR VR. I think you have to be a fool not to. I'm having a hard time seeing this productized now, I guess. And I understand what you're saying about disabilities, and I think being able to do presumably multi-group FaceTime calls with avatars sitting in a room is very cool. But I'm wondering if this is Apple's take on a developer product. If this is their developer, this is their developer edition, although they'll never call it that. We haven't seen Apple do anything. We haven't seen Apple do anything that I can recall like that.
For coming at it dub, yeah.
Yeah, they did the developer edition of the Mac Mini when they introduced Apple Silicon, but that would really be it. That would really be it.
I mean, I wonder if that's how this is going to be positioned. Like, listen, we know this is not like a major product for everybody. We want developers to get on board. Here's our vision of what AR, VR can be. Get on board with us. If you want to pick up a product, we're happy to sell one to you. But like, stick around for the next few years because it's going to get exciting.
I think it's more than that to them, because we've heard the rumors of them wanting to sell 1 million, and I know
they're
when we
lobbying
think of Apple
to make everyone wear the headset.
Get out of here! I know when we think of Apple,
the next podcast we're all going to do it on.
If we hear 1 million sales, that doesn't sound like a lot, right, for any Apple product. But remember when they announced the iPhone originally, they wanted to get 1% market share, and it took them the second generation to hit 1% market share, and that's where they wanted to feel like they were in a good spot. Last year, I just looked it up, VR headsets, there were 8.8 million sold. So if Apple sold 1 million, they've got 10% of the market in the first year, right? So it's a smaller market to capture, but that number puts them in a pretty good spot.
That's such a low number, hearing that out loud. 8 million?
Right. Because, well, here's the other thing is a lot of times, how many tablets were selling before the first iPad was released, right? There's so many things where Apple, like there's been a product category, and then we all know the story, like Apple waits and they come out with something and all of a sudden, boom, it explodes. Yeah. So they could be the tipping point on the scale that makes people start getting into it. But like you said, John, like gaming, I can see Apple Arcade. I feel like if you look at Apple's current lineup of everything, you can kind of see, oh, they're laying the foundation for their next big product. Okay. When I get the Quest 2, it sucks that every game is like $30, $40, $50. And how many? I want to try more than one or two things. Yeah. Okay, Apple Arcade subscription, $5 a month, and I get access to all this stuff, including VR games. Memojis, right? Okay, it's cute. You have your stickers and your iMessage and everything, but now you're actually going to be able to be in a room, as exciting or scary as that might sound, full of the memojis of your friends and family and having conversations with them. Having a party with them or whatever. I feel like there's things that I almost feel like a lot of times when Apple announces something that we didn't expect, we can like look behind and be like, oh, I just didn't see it. It was all right there. I just didn't put everything together.
There are so many times on this podcast I feel like I'm talking to an Apple PR rep as a co-host.
Well, you are. That's okay.
Like, come to the other side. They send me nothing, and you can speak freely, man. It's like it's like a hostage video sometimes with these things. Apple's got a great grand vision for the future. Dear leader will tell us what we need.
You can
dear
find
leader
it
will,
Andrew
dear leader
at
will provide.
apple.com.
Yeah.
All I said was, here's the products they have that can go into a headset.
That's not how you ended that statement.
So
but yeah,
to answer and summarize all of these things together, we're hearing there's going to be 3 killer use cases for the first headset. The first is gaming. The second is communication. The second is consuming media. There's not a single headset that does any of those things.
So break those down individually. Break down how they're unique.
First up, communication. The Meta suite of products is actually a disaster. Myself, John, and Sarah Dici tried for like 3 hours at one point just to get into a business call. And
we did a podcast of Genius Bar literally in VR.
Saw it.
And it was a nightmare.
Yeah. So first thing, if Apple can just make it even okay, they've already gotten all of the market for communication and meetings.
Okay. So you're talking simplicity, group FaceTime calls, whether it's an emoji in a virtual room, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Think about how they sell FaceTime, like, connection, and we're keeping families together, or whatever they say.
Okay.
It'll be like that.
Okay. So I see that. What's next?
Okay. Second is gaming. This is historical.
Not Apple's bread and butter.
Yeah. Historically, where Apple has struggled severely. But like Andrew mentions, there's Apple Arcade. And if there's going to be anything that gets... Well, okay, let's also look at the domino effect of why Apple has struggled with gaming. To invest in it now on the Mac, it just doesn't make sense because there's essentially no developer support and no people care. So they'd either have to invest billions or trillions on developers to get people to care, and then they might never, or they have to invest in people caring to get developers to care, and it's just kind of this revolving door of things. It doesn't make sense for Apple. But if there's now, like you said, 10% of the market that wants to play these games and they're looking for stuff to do in their $3,000 headset, I think the interest is going to be there. And let's talk about what drives anything in the market. The money is going to be there for developers to make stuff and for people to buy stuff.
So I think you have to quantify gaming. You're not talking about Crysis. You're talking about John Prosser's Crossy Road in VR.
One of the best games that Sam and I play together is mini golf. But it's the style, the artwork, it doesn't try to be real life. It takes you somewhere else. The scenes are incredibly beautiful. And this is on a $400 headset from Facebook. I will gladly, to me, even $30 for each game is a steal. It takes you somewhere else. You're not even where you're supposed to be. You left. You're gone. For $30, it took you somewhere else.
And remember, the Quest 2 is several years old. Mm-hmm. So it's running an old chip. We're talking about Apple Silicon running in the new headset.
And also, just cheap hardware overall. That experience, even that is exciting to me. But when you use a Quest, and anyone that has used one, I think you can use it and immediately see where Apple could do better.
Okay.
I think you could see where $3,000 would make a difference. Because the concept of everything is there in the Quest. But it's lacking things that separate you from where it's supposed to take you. Even something as small as resolution. The games look incredible, like the artwork on the mini golf game. It's called Walkabout Mini Golf for anyone who's curious.
Yes, please get it.
It's incredible, but I can also see every individual pixel. So, if we could not do that, that would be great.
All right. You guys are, I think this is probably before your time, but Andrew, you might know. Do you remember what won the format war with VHS and Betamax?
I do recall VHS winning.
But I remember VHS 1, but do you remember what pushed VHS 2 win?
I thought it was that it was cheaper.
Nope. It was adult content.
Okay, I was going to say this, John,
really?
but I didn't know if I was allowed to bring this up on the podcast, but I have a lot to say about this.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think it's foolish, and you can't you can't pretend to sell a VR device to people without at least.
You think Tim Cook's going to mention it?
Making it easy for the elephant in the room. No, but if you're going to have it open for developers, and you're going to have to address that elephant in the room, and that's if anything's going to get people to buy something, it's going to be that.
Okay, John.
Well, as long as it has a video player, right?
Okay,
QuickTime or whatever.
All right, Sam, go ahead. Floor is yours.
I just want to say this is all speaking from a friend. A friend told me about all of this, just for legal reasons.
And I'm not the friend.
Yeah, it's a friend on the show. Blink once.
No. Yeah. The friend is, who could say who this friend is? Maybe he's got an @apple.com email address. Who could say? But this friend told me that the world out there is pretty crazy. This friend tells me that some of the content that you can find is just like, it sounds goofy. And this friend's like, man, if you ever just like, I gotta experience something new. This friend was like, maybe if you ever have a VR headset. All I'm saying is that based on what this friend told me, the experience is pretty clunky and still confusing and hard. Maybe I shouldn't use the word hard right now, but this is the friend talking. I'm just saying, if there was this beautiful platform like iOS that now made this whole area of adult content accessible, I'm just saying, as John said, you can't ignore it. And I do think people are underestimating this because I don't think enough people have experienced it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying this without judgment. I'm just saying it exists. And I'm saying
it's a use case for technology. And I think if you're talking about what drives some technological innovation, it is that, whether it's for you or not for you, whatever. But I agree.
Yeah. Wasn't the same thing true with like Blu-ray and HD DVD as well?
I don't think so. But this doesn't seem like a crazy limitation to me as far as the Apple headset goes, because you have iPhones, you have iPads, you have Macs, and you can access
But they don't put you in it.
No, but what I'm saying is, while it's not in the App Store, all you have to do is open Safari, right?
Yeah.
So I would assume if the headset has a web browser, you're safe. You're good to go.
That's what you have to do on the Quest if people were to do it.
Do you have a friend on the show too, John?
My friend on the show also told me that.
John, that was Rettinger, I guess I should say, because there's two Johns now, with both spelled without the H, which is always kind of throwing me off. But basically, if you circle to the third point that I was going to make about the killer use case, it is watching content. So yes, you'll be able to sit in a virtual movie theater. I don't know. That to me is still gimmicky.
Did you say a virtual movie theater or a virtual booby theater?
No, I said a movie theater because we're talking about watching content, brother, man.
So was I.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. John and I, we've done this on the Quest. It's fine. Like you can watch, you literally, I think, watched like a TV, like The Office or something.
Okay, I would like to know. Fine. It's incredible. You can sit in a movie theater and watch movies either with just your friend, or you can just sit in a movie theater full of strangers like real life and watch movies, actual movies that are out. That's crazy.
That is cool.
Yeah. For me, that didn't do much, but I understand the use cases there. And I'm just saying.
Maybe it was the 400 pixel resolution.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying. Now, I want to counter everything I just said by talking about this report that we got recently, that basically Apple designers said that the product wasn't ready and they should wait until technology evolves recently. Well, sorry, I think they said this in like 2020. And then
I need to jump in.
He's got a thing. He's got a finger.
I need to jump in on this. You're talking about the Financial Times article.
Here comes the PR department.
He's got a friend.
No. This is just, and hey, I love Dan Barbera and Mac rumors, but there was some twisting of words here. The Financial Times reported that Tim Cook sided with the operations team led by Jeff Williams to ship a VR headset, while the design team wanted to wait for lighter AR glasses to be ready, which Mac rumors turned into Apple CEO Tim Cook ordered headset launch despite designers warning it wasn't ready. They never said it wasn't ready. What they said was, we'd rather do this other product. They never said this other product's not ready. And Tim Cook said, it's not ready, ship it anyway. That was never part of the report. But that was what Mac rumors turned the headlight into, but that was never part of the story. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And also, by the way,
Apple PR is relentless on this call.
No. This is all company PR. This is all company PR, by the way. Isn't it the job of the CEO to determine what gets made and what doesn't, and not a designer? Isn't that the CEO's job?
Well,
how is that news that Tim Cook decided let's ship a product as opposed to a design team?
So one thing I never told anybody when I talked about getting blacklisted by Apple and they called to yell at me, it was actually Andrew.
That's what the whole video's about. Yeah.
And now it comes out. He just walked off like he dropped the mic. He literally walked away. He's gone.
Well, listen.
No, but I thought that whole thing was weird because a CEO's job is literally they make the decision about what products are being made and what's not being made. And it also, the way Apple works, there's an AR VR team of over 1,000 people working on this stuff. So the design team isn't the AR team. So when they say the design team wanted to wait for this other thing.
Are you on the team?
No, I'm not on the team.
I think it is.
It sounds like you're sticking up for your team.
Sarah, and Jack on Friday. We had a meeting.
No.
When this team meets every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:45.
In fact, the meeting's in 15. What I'm saying is the way Apple works, There is obviously the executive team, the CEOs. There's a product design team. The product marketing team at Apple, it's more product than marketing. So the product marketing team also works on products. Like the iPod's click wheel came from the product marketing team. And then there's a dedicated AR VR team. So the way the article is written, it sounds like there's one guy on the design team. It's like, hey, we want to do this. And then Tim was like, no, we're going to do what Jeff Williams said. But it doesn't take into account all the other teams that work on this as well. I thought it was a strange article that didn't give the full picture of how these products are made at Apple.
Isn't that what news is?
Well, it made it sound like there were these two people that wanted to do two different things. And Tim was like, we're going to go with him. And then done.
And also, didn't this happen years ago? Like, it's not something that happened yesterday.
Yes. I believe Gurman said that this decision was made in 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know,
so
Andrew.
This is like, a bunch of the stories messed up.
What were you going to say, Sam?
I was just going to
say. Andrew, tell us how amazing a yellow iPhone is.
yeah. Tell us how it's innovative.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it is.
Oh my God.
I don't know where
he has
it is.
Of
somewhere.
course. So I want to counter that by saying I saw that this was a thing because of Mac rumors, but doing my due diligence as a journalist, I went and read the Financial Times. And what that statement that I made was based off of the takeaway from the Financial Times, which is I don't think this product is going to be as magical of a launch as products before. And this is coming from the #1 Apple fanboy. And I say this because if you're telling me that Apple is going to make you wear a battery pack on your waist, it's not there yet. Just straight up, it's not where Apple usually launches products.
This is what I said, and you looked at me like I had 17 heads.
Well,
and they gave me like 6 introductions.
Well, you did, but that's because you said you didn't get this product at all, and I think we've changed your mind a little bit to give you some killer use cases.
No, you're speaking at both sides of your mouth, man. You're saying you're saying, oh, it's going to be amazing. Here's your use case, but also like, I think people are going to get how magical it's going to be. All I was saying was I don't see a use case for this product. Not I don't see a roadmap for future products.
But I'm saying I think we just illustrated 3 pretty killer use cases of watching content, talking with people, and gaming that don't exist in the market right now that Apple can make an impact. I'm saying holistically, sorry, I take that back. Holistically, I think you should see why it's going to be killer. Specifically, there are going to be parts of it that are launching earlier than an Apple product historically does, where the battery pack is on your waist with a little wire coming out rather than integrated into the device because we are not there technology-wise.
It's going to be MagSafe. Right there.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'm
knock it off while you're walking.
I don't know if I want it to be MagSafe because that's a little too loose. Like I don't want to be in the middle of it and then it just bump into something and just goes flying.
Yeah, that sounds very likely though. Now that he said that out loud.
Yeah.
Rather than getting pulled off your face.
Yeah. Listen, sources tell me, and tell me nothing. I like to make stuff up.
I mean, this product, and then really the point of the Financial Times article was to say that this is going to be Cook's legacy that he leaves. And if this is too early, like I don't think they were more leaving it up to us to interpret, which like, is it going to be too early or not? Like it's fun journalism to say they're kind of pushing a narrative of like, they think it's too early, but they're like, well, hey, we'll have to see what happens when it launches. And I agree still, like to this day, we have not seen it. And maybe the battery pack is going to be cool. Maybe it's going to be a braided cord unlike that we've ever seen. Maybe it's going to be a beautiful, big braided lightning cord.
They use lightning.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God. That just made me angry when you said that.
I just sent Andrew a video of himself. I sat here and slowly zoomed into his face because he just looked like he just looked upset, and so I texted him and said, Apple PR waiting to strike. He's just in the background laughing.
It was hilarious. Okay, hey.
But also
VR
true.
headset, I am excited. I'm just excited to see it, something new.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Bring me something new. I want to see it. and WWDC, man. WWDC. We're 3 months away from potentially, hopefully, if all rumors are correct, seeing the next big major Apple product since the Apple Watch, probably.
Why are you excited about it, Apple?
Me? Well, first of all, I like the Quest 2 a lot. I think I understand what you guys were saying about how it's not where we want to be. Just like the first Apple Watch, it wasn't what it was going to turn into. But as someone who I've loved tech and gadgets since I was 4 years old, right? That's why I do what I do on a daily basis. Like, I love this stuff. And
been part of Apple PR since you were 5.
If I worked in a different industry, I would still be purchasing these things and playing with them because I just love it so much. So being able to see what's coming next and trying it out and talking about it on YouTube and on the show here and all that, to me, that is kind of like what I live for. And the Quest 2, I feel like, is so good, even for its shortcomings. It's so good. And it's
incredible.
It's several years old. What are you going to be able to do with something that's not just newer, but has 2 M2 chips in it, or an M2 Pro, whatever it's going to be? On the M2 Mac Mini, I was able to play Resident Evil Village, and it looked pretty damn good. It was running at like 117 frames per second, maxed out settings on an M2 Pro Mac Mini. So if that's what you can do on there, obviously you don't have the same heat dissipation on your face, but it gives a clue as to what the visual fidelity could be. So I'm just curious.
First of all, the Quest 2 isn't bad, but it's also like Facebook is not in a position to make a great VR product. They could, but I don't think they can afford to do it because there won't be enough people to buy it. For them to make it great, the prices they would have to charge for a new product category, people just aren't willing to do it. I think if any company is going to be able to put all the technology they possibly can into a $3,000 headset and get people to buy it, it's Apple. Even if they know they're going to sell 1 million units or under. The Quest 2 is the best VR experience you can have right now. Not in terms of quality, in terms of how accessible it is. You can spend $400. You don't need to plug it into a computer. You can just stand in an open room and you are somewhere else. That's incredible to me. Even if the games are $30, that is extremely affordable to me. That's still less than a PlayStation game, and it takes you to a completely different world. To me, the Quest is one of those products, and I hate to say it because it's Facebook. The Quest changed my life. It changed my life in terms of how I view technology, where I view technology, and it got me even more excited to see Apple dump a bunch of money into a headset.
We got Meta Quest PR, we got Apple PR. Who's next?
Yep.
I want to revisit this conversation after this headset inevitably comes out later in the year, because I'm wondering if we're talking about headsets that exist right now, same way we talked about the best cell phones that existed before the iPhone. Are we talking about the BlackBerry Pearl here with the sort of the Quest 2? Is it going to be completely
Right, that's a good
changed?
question.
Or is it going to be another, just Apple's take on what Facebook has? Or
Well, you guys are right on time. Andrew schedules these guest appearances 3 months out. So let's just schedule a show right now for After Dovetail.
I mean, I think that makes sense. I'm going to end this, guys. This is one of the most lively podcasts.
Thank you
that
for
we've
joining
had.
us, John Prosser, and Sam for jumping in the middle.
Woo!
And just coming in hot
Thank you
with
guys.
the
I appreciate
taste.
it.
That was fun.
Thank you.
And that is it for this edition of Geared Up. Thank you so much for listening. Of course, you can catch John and I on YouTube. I'm at youtube.com/gearlive, and John is at youtube.com/John4Lakers. Feel free to head over and subscribe to our channels to stay up to date on all the latest tech. Speaking of subscribing, you can subscribe to Geared Up in your favorite podcast app if you haven't done so already. Just search Geared Up, that's 2 words, not one, in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Overcast, or really wherever you choose to listen. If you like what we do, please consider leaving us a rating and review. It really helps other people find the show. Geared Up is a Gear Live podcast, and you can see more from us at gearlive.com. Thank you so much for listening. For John Rettinger, I'm Andrew Edwards, and we'll catch you in the next episode.